Hello, friends. Welcome to Vijay Center for Astrological Studies. In this episode, I'll talk about marital life and divorce as per Vedic astrology. We will talk about the seventh house and seventh house lord, Venus and Jupiter, who are the significators of marriage, Navamsa chart, Tithi lord, and its involvement in Graha dosha, Panchanga dosha, and its relationship with house number 6, 8, and 12. As we know, house number 6 represents divorce, separation, fights, enmities. Number 8 represents loss of commitment, secrets, lies, manipulation, cheating, extramarital affairs, death of spouse, and so on. And house number 12 represents losses, isolation, distance, separation, and conjugal life. We'll also consider Mangal dosha, where Mangal is damaged by Sun, Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, or it is placed in house number 1 to 4, 7, 8, 12, which is what we call it as Mangalic. The reasons for multiple marriages and the houses to be seen, like for first marriage, we look at house 7, for second, house number 9, for third, house 11, and for fourth, house number 1, and so on. Let's take a quick look at the Panchanga Yoga. Here is the URL that I have indicated, and this is a good website to look at. So when Varesh, which is the lord of Vara, and Tithi, which is the lord of Tithi, they are in the same or they are together in relation to the chart, the Panchang Yoga or dosha occurs. Because there is a mixing of Agni and Jala Tattva, only one, either the health or the relationship will be better, both will not be good. So this is basically Panchang based on Panchang elements. So we have the sun, we have the moon. Sun gives rise to Vara and Karana. Moon gives rise to Tithi and Nakshatra. Moon is a water element, sun is a fire element. So only one will survive. And that is where the Panchang Yoga or dosha is formed. So let's move on. This is a first case study. This person had 2 divorces. Current status is married and the person is a male. So look at whether he has Panchang dosha. So look at the TL, the Tithi Lord. So we see that here is a Tithi and the Tithi Lord is Saturn. And the VWL, the Vedic weekday Lord or Varesh, here is the Vedic weekday and Venus is the Vedic weekday Lord. So they are sitting together in house number 12 in the Divan chart. So here Venus wins because Venus is more comfortable in zodiac number 4, which is Cancer, than the Saturn. Saturn and Moon, the lord of zodiac Cancer, they form Vish Yoga. So Venus wins here, and that is why the health and longevity was chosen over the marriage and relationship. Existence of Panchanga dosha definitely indicates divorce. So now let's look at the first marriage. So we will check the status of house number 7. So in the Divan chart, lord of house number 7 is Saturn. Saturn is in Pushkar, Amsa, and is also Vargottam here because it's in the zodiac 4 here and in the zodiac 4 here itself. So it's a good indication. Now, in the Divan chart, lord of house number 7 is also the lord of house number 6 and is placed in house number 12. In the Divan chart, lord of house number 7, Saturn, is involved in a Panchang dosha. This is bad. That's the reason why the first marriage resulted in a divorce. Look at the second marriage. Check the house number 9 status. So in the Divan chart, the lord of house number 9 is Mars. Mars is placed in house number 1, which is a good placement. Let's look at the D9 chart. Here, the lord of house number 9 is Saturn. Also, lord of house number 8, and Saturn is making Panchang dosha as we saw it earlier. This is bad, and this also resulted in the divorce. Let's look at the third marriage. For third marriage, we look at house number 11. So here the lord of house number 11 is Mercury. Mercury is placed in its own house in zodiac of Gemini, which is good. And it is placed in house number 11. So that's a neutral result with respect to marriage. But this is placed in a Papkar 3 yoga. So one side is Rahu and other side is Saturn, which is bad. Let's look at the D9 chart, house number 11. Here the lord is Mars. Mars is placed in house number 12, which is bad. Mars is placed in zodiac number 2, where the lord of zodiac 2 is Venus. That indicates multiple relationships, which is bad. There is no apparent and strong Panchanga dosha, which is good. However, in the D9 chart, Mars is in zodiac 2 and the lord of zodiac 2 is Venus. Since Venus is involved in Panchanga dosha, I will be waiting and watching its situation. Let's move on to case study number 2. Here there was one divorce, current status is single, and the chart is that of a female. So the first thing we'll do is check for Panchang dosha. Again, the Tithi Lord here is Moon, and the Vedic weekday Lord is Sun. Sun and Moon have exchanged their zodiac in D1. So Sun is in Moon's zodiac, Moon is in Sun's zodiac. So there is a strong relationship between the TL and VWL that gives Panchanga dosha. Now, who is winning? The Sun is winning because it is placed in house number 11 as against Moon, which is placed along with Ketu in house number 12, and therefore the health and longevity has been chosen over the marriage and relationship. Now let's look at the first marriage. So we'll check the house number 7 in D1 first. So planet present in this house is Mars. Mars gives Mangalik dosha, which is bad. House number 7 is aspected more than 70% by Moon, Mercury, Ketu. So here we see Moon 7th house 78%, Mercury 72%, and Ketu 81%. All of these are placed in house number 12, which is bad. Now come to the lord of the house number 7, which is Jupiter. It is placed in house number 9, which is good. It is not in Pushkar Amsha, there is no Vargottama, etc. So that's neutral. Now it is placed in house number 12 in the D9 chart. So house in D1 chart is placed in house number 12 in the D9 chart with Rahu. So this is afflicted and bad. So in general, the person has Panchanga dosha, and the first marriage has almost everything negative except for its placement in house number 9. I'll also take a look at the 7th house in D9 chart. So here the house lord is Mars, and Mars is placed in house number 8. This is also indicating a bad marriage. So the first marriage resulted in divorce. Now let's talk about the second marriage. So we will check the house number 9 status here. So for the second marriage, we'll check in D1 chart the house number 9 is status. So planets in house number 9. Jupiter is sitting in house number 9, which is good. And the house number 9 does not receive any bad planets aspect, which is more than 70%, which is also good. Now the lord of house number 9 is Venus. Venus is placed in house number 10, which is good. Zodiac number 3 is also good. The Puskar Amsha is none, but it is the house Vargottama. This is also 10th house. Here also is 10th house. So this represents a good marriage, and it is placed in house number 10 in D9. The placement of house number 10 is good. In fact, zodiac 11 is also a friendly Rashi for Venus, and none of these are involved in the Panchanga dosha that we see. So the grahas involved in Panchanga dosha are Moon and Sun. Therefore, the second marriage is likely to be a good marriage and likely to last. Please note that this analysis does not suggest that the second marriage will definitely happen. It is only showing that if the second marriage happens, it is expected to last. Let's move on to the third case study. There was no divorce, current status is married, and this is a female's chart. Let's look at the Panchang dosha first. So the Tithi Lord here is Mars, and the Vedic weekday Lord or Varish is Jupiter. There is no relationship between Mars and Jupiter. Mars is aspecting Jupiter with 61%, less than 70, and Jupiter is aspecting Mars with 12%, a lot lower. So there is no Panchanga dosha. So the chances of divorce is very small here. Now the first marriage, we will check the D1 and the H7 status. So first thing we'll check is the planets sitting in this chart, in this house. So we have Mars, we have Saturn, and we have Venus. This gives Mangalik dosha, which is a bad thing. More than 70% aspect here is only from Rahu. So look at house number So look at house number 7 and look at the aspect of house number 7 here. So what we see is the only planet that gives more than 70% aspect is Rahu. So Rahu is the only one aspecting with more than 70%, but then Rahu is exalted in Gemini. So this kind of neutralizes. Now, the Lord of house number 7 is Saturn. It's also the Lord of house number 8. So the result will be that because it is placed in house number 7, it will provide longevity to marriage because Saturn will delay the collapse and therefore provide longevity. There is no Pushkaramsa, there is no Vargottama here. House number 7, Lord in D1, is placed in house number 11 in D9. So Saturn is placed here along with the Venus and Ketu. So because of the Venus's presence, there will be warmth in relationship. But Ketu with Saturn will cause some sort of temporary separation like living separately due to job, etc. So overall, it indicates no divorce. It does indicate a little bit rift unless the other person also has Mangalik dosha, then it cancels out. And very, very temporary separation, but overall, a good and successful marital life. So friends, that's all in this video. Please comment, like, subscribe, and share. Hope you like the contents. Have fun. Bye now.